I don't really have a video to accompany this one um, because it's not a movie. It's not a manga that has an adaptation. Um, it's a book, one that I actually did read, but one that I had some difficulties getting through. Now, to be fair, I was kind of an overdramatic, like sophomore year college student, something like that. So a lot of it was in my head, clearly. But it still unnerved me a little bit. The book that I'm talking about is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. Elwelski. He's got a bit of a weird last name that I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce. But this book is interesting because it's kind of three different stories being told simultaneously. The core of it, which is really the only thing that I'm going to talk about today, is about a man, his wife, and his daughter, I believe. Maybe they have two kids. It's been a while since I've read this book. They buy a house, and they start to notice some things that are a bit off. Some of the room layouts don't make a lot of sense, or potentially even extend past what should be their boundaries. Some things shift around. A lot of weird things. And then they just straight up find a door. That on the other side of this door should be the outside. It is on the outer wall of their house, but it does not go outside. It leads out into a dark hallway. That is the crux of the book. Surrounding this book is so that's the main story. But that story was adapted into a film, which is then being described in a paper, which is then being read by a man who's reading the description that was written by a man who is now dead. Little heady. I promise it makes sense when you start reading it, but that does not mean that this book makes any sense. There's still a lot of things that I question about it because there's a lot in this book. And it really plays with making you feel like you're a part of it, like you're the next step. And that's one thing that was messing with me for a while, because I did think I was a part of it in a weird way. But people who have read this book say that the book itself is what's haunted. That the concept is that the person reading through the novelization, through the description of the film that's already like a found footage thing, that person is also part of the curse because they're dealing with some things. It's a really, really wild time, and it bends a lot of what I feel you can do in literature. I don't think a lot of it should have been done in the first place. I think there's some weird choices that I personally would not have made. But let's not criticize the author. He did a good job. Let's not belittle him either, because I feel like that was a little belittling, and I didn't mean to do that. It's a good book. It really is. This one really, really outdid novels for me for a while. It was an interesting read, and at some stage, about halfway through, I was rushing to the end. I was convinced that I was a part of the curse, and that if I didn't finish it, not something bad would happen, but just like I would never be free of it. I wasn't sleeping at the time. I lost a ton of weight. It was weird. I mean, again, I feel like I was really over dramatizing my involvement with this book. But I was going through a rough time. Probably outside of the book. I was in college. And college is a rough time in general. But it was not a fun time. Good book, though. Really good book. Messed with my head. And now I feel weird for recommending it. Because I don't want it to mess with your head, viewer. But I do really enjoy it. Okay. Maybe don't read this. Maybe I forbid you from reading this. It's late. If you can't tell, my brain's a little fried right now. You should get to bed.